Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. Today's video is a Morphe brushes haul and review video for you guys. So I picked up a bunch of brushes from their Elite collection and also the Bling It On brushes. So I posted a few pictures on Instagram and you guys absolutely loved them and you wanted to hear more about them. So in today's video, I'll go through and show you each individual brush and also give you a review on what I think of the Elite brush collection. So I'm going to start off showing you the Bling It On brushes, which came in this cute little silver travel case. So these are limited edition brushes. They have just had so far one release of them, but they went so quickly. I think they sold out in about 15 minutes that Morphe are apparently going to be restocking and bringing them back. I believe they will still be limited edition, but they are going to restock so more of you have a chance to get your hands on them. If you're like a makeup collector or like product collector, these are probably the perfect brushes for you. So although the actual quality of them is like fecking amazing, but I feel like the handles may not last too long if you're continuously using these and chucking them around and washing them. The rhinestones are literally just like glued onto the handle. So I feel like if you were to use these often, they would most likely come off eventually, which you don't want that to happen. I personally got these for like background display purposes and flat lay purposes. So I'm definitely going to buy a second set. They are really nice brushes and I really like the selection they put in this set. This first brush is a powder brush. It has a beautiful dome shaped head and it is just perfect to get in there and like actually powder your face, get your bake off, even go under your eyes even though it is a bit thicker. It's just a really nice powder brush and I absolutely love it. This one is the foundation buffer brush. It has a beautiful head of bristles. It is so dense, just like the powder brush. They're just beautiful and I don't feel like they're going to lose their shape at all. They're such gorgeous, dense, soft brushes. The next brush is a contour slash blush brush, which is a mouthful, but it's just your typical angled contour brush. It is the same as the first two, very dense, very soft. Like it really just gets that nice defined cheekbone shape and I love it and I'm glad I did already buy this in the normal Elite collection. So thank God because I love it heaps. I believe this little baby is a crease brush. It just has a really beautiful, dense little head on it. So it's perfect if you want to use it to create like a soft cut crease or like smoke out your lower lash line or upper lash line. It's just like a beautiful shape and it really diffuses color nicely. You then get a little concealer brush, which I actually love these concealer brushes for doing exactly what it suggests, your concealer. It's just great to get in there under your eye. I haven't used this one in particular, but I do have about 3 or 4 other brand concealer brushes like this, and I do reach them all the time. Then this particular brush is considered a brow or liner brush. I actually prefer to use these brushes when I want to keep like a super dark shade really close to my lower lash line. So like if I'm using a black, for example, I'll dab this in and I'll push it right into my lower lash line and then I'll go in with a brush like that crease one to smoke it out slightly, just so I don't deposit too much color down in my under eye bag area. So I just feel like this really helps to deposit it nicely. And then lastly, out of the Bling set, we have this beautiful fluffy blending brush. So as you can see, the bristles are actually quite long, but yet again, it is really nice and dense. And even when blending, it has like a bit of movement in the brush itself, but it just blends out your shades seamlessly. So it's such a beautiful brush. And I did pick this up in the normal Elite range as well. And this is the bunch of the normal Elite collection brushes that I picked up. I think I got 11 different brushes, a few face brushes, and the rest of them are all eyeshadow brushes. So with the Elite brushes, these ones don't come in a set. They are all sold individually. So I will make sure I leave Morphe's website link in the description box for you, the direct link to their Elite brush range. And I'll tell you each of the names of these brushes. So if you want to know pricing on each brush, you can head over and check it out. These are their most expensive range they stock online. So a lot of people really love Morphe because of their affordability. So when they came out with the Elite range, a lot of people were quite frustrated because they were more expensive than their other products. They still have their cheaper alternative in brushes, but honestly, the quality of these is so worth every single dollar. I do not think they're overpriced at all. I mean, compared to Sigma, the Elite brushes are still really reasonably priced. I do own Sigma brushes as well, so on a level of comparison, they're really quite different brushes. These Elite collection brushes are definitely a lot more softer and more dense than the Sigma brushes, but the Sigma brushes are still awesome. So like if you were debating on whether to buy Sigma or Morphe, either is a really great brand. They're both like the top of the line brush brands if you ask me personally. But there's just something about these brushes that I really like, and I think it's because they just feel so soft to the touch that it's like a really pleasant experience using them. They do the same job as the Sigma brushes, but I don't know, I just like the actual feel of the bristles of these brushes better. This is the Morphe E41 powder brush, I believe it's called. So it's just like a really massive big powder brush. I really like this for like wiping my bake off or any translucent powder. I feel like it's a little bit too big to use powdered foundation. It's just that little bit too chunky, but if you're like setting your face with a loose powder or anything like that, it would be perfect to dip it in and just brush it all over your face. Then this brush is the Morphe E4 brush, and it is another contour blush brush, and it is just on the angle, same as the one from the Bling It On brush set, but it just feels not quite as soft, and it's maybe like a little bit more blown out at the end, if that makes sense. So like it kind of flares out a little bit more, but it does just as good of a job as the one in the Bling brush set. I used it today to do my powder contour over the top of my cream contour, and I just love how it just fits in that groove of your cheekbone. Then one of my favorite brushes I picked up is the E48 brush. It is like a little semi-tapered, I believe it's like a powder brush or something. This is perfect for doing your under eye setting. So I just like to dip it into one of my pressed powders, and it's just perfect to set all under your eyes. I also used it for my highlight today. It's just a really nice dome shape, so you can pop it in your highlight and just run it along the tops of your cheekbones and around the side of your forehead. Just a really diverse brush. The next brush I got is the E40 little eyelash fan brush. I didn't realize this brush was going to be as small as it is. This is probably the only brush out of the collection that I probably won't get the most use out of. I just think I'm going to purchase a bigger fan brush than this for my highlighter, because I'm kind of mesmerized when I see people in videos just get their highlighter brush and just go doo-doo-doo-doo. But this one in particular is a bit too small for that, so probably perfect for like your brows, just there if you're highlighting your brow bone, your nose and your cupid's bow. But yeah, to do your cheekbones, just a little bit too small. So this is like a eyeliner slash brow brush, so it has the spoolie on one end and has the angled liner bit on the other end. So I just really wanted a brush with a plain spoolie to start doing my brows. And I tell you what, if you don't use a spoolie to run through your brows, get one, because it is life-changing. I'll probably use the spoolie end more than I'll use the angled liner end. I'll use this angled brush when I want to do my highlight on my inner corners, so I'll just dab it into whatever product and just specifically place it around that section of my eye. I just really like angled brushes for that. So I probably won't use it for my liner or for my brows, but highlight on my inner corner I will use it for. So the next 6 brushes I got are all shadow brushes. So the first one is an E30 brush. It is a really thick, dense brush, but as you can see, it's kind of like wider one way than it is the other. So it's kind of like flatter. This is really nice if you're really wanting to diffuse like your crease shade. Just really blends it out beautifully, and it's just a nice fat brush. So the next brush is an E27 tapered blending brush. So it is like the one out of the Bling It On brush set. I think it's actually identical, to be honest. So it has the longer bristles but very dense. Same as the one before, perfect for blending out those crease shades. This one is the E23 blending brush. So the only difference between it and the previous brush is it is a little bit more tapered and it is a tiny bit more dense. So as you can see, there's a comparison of those two brushes side by side. What I like brushes like this for is when you're wanting to do a little bit more specific blending. So let's say you're doing your very outer corner, you're just wanting to blend it up into like your crease slightly. That's what I'd use this brush for over the previous one, which is better suited when you're like literally blending out your entire crease shade. Next is the E28 brush, and it is more tapered and more defined yet again. I also like it for depositing color like exactly where you want it. So let's say I want to deposit a darker color on my outer corner. I'll use this to pack it on that very outer corner. Then I'll most likely go in with a fluffier brush to then blend it out. So I find these are really useful, especially if you're playing with several shades on the lids, because you can just really control where you're blending and where you're applying a lot better with a tapered brush. Then onto an even more tapered brush. This is the E24 brush. I think it's actually pencil brush, I'm pretty sure it's called online. So perfect for your lower lash line and things like cut crease again. But yet again, it is just another really tapered version of the previous brush. So as you can see, there's a comparison of the two next to each other. So just when you're wanting to be a bit more defined and if you're wanting to smoke out that lash line nicely, it just gets in under those lashes really easily. And then lastly, this is the E13 brush, which is more of like an overall shader brush, I believe it's called. So I use this to like pack color on my lid. So for example, the shimmery color I have on the center and inner part of my lid today, I use this brush to apply it, and I just popped it all over that section. It picks up the color really nicely and applies it really nicely without too much of it staying on the brush, which is fantastic. So previous to my Elite brush purchase, I did buy one of their cheaper sets. So I picked up like one of their little travel sets. This was really, really cheap. I think it was like $20 US for the whole 12-piece set. The quality is very different to the Elite brushes. They're still really nice brushes, and if you're a beginner, they're certainly going to still work for you. They're just not quite as nice as the Elite brushes. So I really don't reach for these space brushes at all because they're not as soft as my other brushes, and they're a little bit scratchy. They're still really dense and they do a beautiful job, but just not my personal favorite. I really loved all their blending brushes out of this kit. Even though you can feel that the quality isn't quite as nice as the Elite brushes, this is one of my favorite brushes out of all my brushes in my collection. If you've been watching my YouTube videos for a while, you would have seen me using this brush in every tutorial to smoke out my crease. It just blends out those shades perfectly. So even though it's a really cheap brush, I feel like I'm still going to be reaching for it. So if you're a beginner, I would still highly recommend some of their cheaper brush sets. Although they're not as good as the Elite range, they still are really great brushes, and I feel like really good value for money. And as you develop your skills and you're looking to invest in better brushes, certainly go up to the more expensive range like the Elite brushes. If you're a bit more experienced when it comes to makeup, I don't think you'd like their cheaper brush range. You definitely would be better suited to use the Elite range, or I've heard the matte black brush ranges are really great too. So definitely pick some up, try them out. They're very comparable to Sigma, this range. They're just such great quality. Highly recommend them. They're also dense, they're also soft, and they just do exactly what they're supposed to do with so much more ease. So guys, I think I covered absolutely everything. If there's anything I missed or you have any questions, please make sure you leave them in the comment section for me. Give this video a big thumbs up if you enjoyed, and subscribe if you haven't already, and I'll be talking to you really soon. Thanks so much for watching. Bye!